this is a brief tutorial on how to create automations and how to work with automation. The first thing is to know where the automations are. So in an audio track, if you see here where it says read and you click on it, you have different type of automation, which the most familiar are latch, touch, and perhaps also write. In Pro Tools we also have the trim, which is very useful, and we will learn in due course. The automation is controlled in Pro Tools from the automation window, so you have to go Window, Automation, and it will open up this window. At this moment there are some buttons selected, you can see they are in red, which means that the plugin is enabled, the volume, the pan, the mute, or the send volume, the send pan, the send mute. If you have, for example, the volume only selected, it means that whatever even if the track is latched, so it's ready to record your automation, and you move the panner, it will move the panner, but you will never record what you've done, because this protects you from making involuntary changes to the tracks while you're doing one automation. So the automation window controls what you're going to automate. Let's say that we leave the volume only. The method of automating has to be clear in your head. Well, read just the automation after you've done it. The touch and latch are two methods of when I want to adjust a mix, and I already set the exact volume that I want my guitar in, but I realized that at bar 39 I wanted to be a little higher in the mix. So what do you use? You use a touch way. So, and I'll show you in this example. I click here to visualize the automation of the volume, and let's say that I'm setting this manually around here, but let's say at this bar here I want to focus to raise a little bit the volume. So let's say that I want to do it in the flow, and I'm working on the volume, so I just need to open up my panner here and using this fader here. So let's look what's happening when I'm recording my automation. So I press play, and let's say the music I'm fine. Let's say in this point I want to raise it. With the touch system, the moment I touch the fader, it starts recording. You can tell, even though I'm not moving, I can touch it. But then I say, okay, that's loud enough, and it's in the right point. Then I can just leave it, and it will go back at a certain speed. This you can change in the settings, back to the level where I started from. So that's the touch, and you can tell that going down is kind of smooth, but quite fast as well. You can change this in the settings. Instead, let's say that I want to again change this, but then fix it to a brand new level. I shouldn't use the touch version, but I should use the latch version, which means that once you touch it, it starts writing, and if you set it to another value, the automation will latch at the new value. The demonstration is here, so I'm pressing play. Nothing is happening because I'm not touching yet the fader. As soon as I touch it, it starts writing. I'm moving it up, but the moment I leave the fader and I don't touch anymore, you see that it's latched at a different height than before. That's the difference between the two. The moment that you stop it, then it goes back to the original, the starting value, and that's you also keep into account. These two are the most traditional methods. We're not going through the write, but the write, you can tell what it does. It just writes everything, but not only for the track that you are working on. If you have also this one here, and you start with a write and the rolling write automation, every time you press play, they will actually write the track. So you need to be careful not to have something that is left on write mode, because you can override work that you've done very carefully for hours. So these are the basics of the automations. Then there are tools to make the automation even much faster and more, so to make your workflow much faster and more efficient. And they are this part of the automation. First of all, not all the time I need to perform the automation as a touch or touch and latch. Sometimes I need to, I want to just set a point, an initial point, and stick it into the automation. So let's say that I select all of this and delete it, all the points. Right, so let's say that I want to record until, so just this part here, the automation, and I want the value that I will choose to just affect that. First I need to hear the value. So if I loop this, and it's going to play in a few times, I would like to change the automation, but if I am latch and touch, it will actually write. Let's say, let's work with latch. But if you click on this button, the preview button, and you press play, whenever I touch the fader, you see that it becomes green with the red inside. It means that it's ready to record. It's recording basically your value, which is actually stored, and you can tell because this lights up. Let's do it again so you can notice. So if I press preview, now this thing is completely grayed out. But the moment I press play, nothing happens. But the moment I touch the only fader that is looked to be receiving data, the moment I touch it, it gets changed the color there, but also it gets stored there. So now I store the value, let's say very plus dB, just to see it more easily. That value is the value that I really like for my piece of music to work on. So I select the area where I want to put it, and if you punch it in, the value has been placed there. So now this part here will always play at that value. But it's not yet punched in. It's just punched in at the beginning of this selection. It waits for me to press play and make a pass. And you can make the pass, but you have to wait. And some people don't have the time to wait. You see that I did the pass a little bit, but because I didn't wait, it interrupted, so I lost my value there. So instead, what you can do, you can still punch it in the value, and you can use, for example, write on stop, which allows you to do different things. For example, this one, it goes to a dot, which means write automation to the next breakpoint when you stop, meaning that the next breakpoint is where I selected the thing, because it will create a breakpoint exactly where my selection is. But so if I press play, now it's already writing, as you can see, but if I press the spacebar and stop it, he has actually gone till the end of the next breakpoint and written that parameter, which saves you a lot of time, because you don't have to pass, you just need to select the area that you want to apply your automation, and that's job done. So another useful feature is using the manual command. So for example, let's say that from this point on, I'm not happy with the volume. I want it to all go down to almost zero. I can just be in that point. I'm in preview. I can punch it in, and then I can go backwards like that, and it has basically remove all the sounds from that point backwards. So obviously it requires a bit of patience to know all the different possibility, but you can rest assured that whatever thing you think that it would be nice to have, it is already prepared there, and so it makes easier for every possible need that you have to speed up the job. You can do it using these tools.